Hello. Hello, hello, everyone. Came on a few minutes early to get situated on here. Hi, Soul Free. Soul Free. I like your name. Can you hear me? Hi, Monica. Welcome. I'm here a little early to just make sure everything's running smoothly. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello. Welcome. Come on in. I'm early. Welcome. Hello, 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 hello. That's interesting, Soul Free. Growing white hairs. Welcome, everyone. We're back again. So I'm going to wait a couple minutes to actually begin. But it's so good to be here with you guys again. I love the lives. Oh, you're welcome. Hi, Sophie. Hello, everyone. Hello from Australia. Where are you guys from? I'm in Marin County right now, so north of San Francisco. So England, Mill Valley. Anna, you were on last time. I remember your name. Awesome. Lots of Englands. I'm Aquarius. Netherlands, Washington, Rhode Island, New Zealand, Texas, Sarasota, Oregon, Portland, Sonoma. Hello, Ellie. We are neighbors. Kansas, France, BC, Victoria, Chile. Oh, I'd love to go there. Jupiter. Awesome. That's great. Welcome to Earth. Australia. All right. Okay, a couple more minutes. I have a couple questions that came in on an email that I wanted to address. I'm going to keep my eye on the chat box more this time, just to keep it in the vibe we want it to be in, if you know what I mean. I told my guides that this time it would be protected by only the clearest intentional human beings coming in. So they're worse. The first time it was even worse. So we are holding really good intentions this time. Hello, Evelyn. I was meditating before this live and I got really, really tired. The energy coming in was really high. All right, so let's just begin. We're a little bit early, but I'm just going to start. Might as well. We're here together. So, okay, so first of all, for those of you that are new to my channel and to this, welcome. My name is Lori, and I do these live YouTubes every other Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And then they're always uploaded to my YouTube channel. So welcome. And for those of you that have been here, welcome back. I'm really excited to begin. Hopefully we'll get a lot of really beautiful questions that are, a variety, so we can, reach the gamut of what's happening on the collective. So one of the questions I want to just, happy you're here, Cindy. One of the questions that I got on email, and I get this question a lot, so I just want to address it now. I think I've addressed it before, but I'll do it one more time, and it's about diet. And it's a big one. Welcome, Robin. Unpacking your bags. I'm in Marin County, Dave. So the diet. So here's what I've been told by my guides about the diet. And so this is not about gaining weight or losing weight. This is about the diet first. So your body vibrates at a specific frequency. And what naturally is going to happen is that as your vibration within your physical form increases, the foods which you are going to begin to desire to intake are going to be less heavy and more light. Um, so there is no right or wrong um, about any of this. So you know that I hold a very neutral place about how we are all navigating this process. Um, so hold on one second. So one of the things that we have to remember is that when you whatever you are craving, whatever your body is craving and desiring, um, is what your body needs. What happens is that we live in a consciousness that it is duality and puts labels on things: good, bad, right, wrong. Um, now, this is separate from the welfare of animals and how animals are treated and things like that. That's a totally separate subject. Um, and that's a different reason behind um, the choices that you make in food. Okay. If we're just focusing on cravings, desires, and what I should or shouldn't be eating, as opposed to what my values are telling me to eat, right? So there's a little bit of a difference. And even with your values, your body still doesn't have values. So your body's still going to crave what it needs energetically. So if you are finding yourself craving denser foods, pizzas, maybe meats, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you want to eat the, if you're going to eat the denser foods, organic is better than GMO crap that they put in the foods, right? You animals that are able to live in the most loving space, the most humane space, if you are choosing to eat animals. But the purpose and point of all of this is that regardless of where you're at right now in your patterns of eating, you're going to be vibrating in higher frequencies and all of it's going to shift. There will be days where you will only crave juices, right? Or you'll only crave light foods. And then there's going to be days, because you may be clearing and processing denser consciousnesses, that you're going to crave heavier meats, heavier foods, cheeses, pizzas, hamburgers, I don't know, whatever it is. What you want to be conscious of is what you are, what your thoughts are when you're eating it. What are your thoughts when you're eating it? Because that's consciousness, that your thoughts are consciousness that you're putting onto the food that you're digesting. So you can make the choice of, I want to eat a more high vibe diet, but that's the same thing as saying, I want to be in a higher vibrational state. That's great. Check yourself and ask if it's ego or higher self saying that. Because your higher self will typically just say, listen to your body. The ego says, I want a high vibe diet, right? Because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, one of the hardest parts about the ascension journey is to not have judgment. If we start to take judgment out of the equation, then you won't crave anything. You won't desire to be anywhere other than where you are right now. You won't crave to have a certain experience, because you'll just be in the present moment, right? You won't be judging any of it. It won't be right or wrong. So it's the same thing with food. Um, hold on one second. Multitasking. Um, Yeah, so you watch your body as you start eating different foods, foods that you used to eat that just don't sit well with your stomach. You will gain weight, you'll lose weight. There may be days where you're bloated. I mean, your whole physical body is shifting and it's learning how to assimilate and acclimate higher frequencies. But the bottom line about the diet thing, and then I'm going to move on, is that trust your body and listen to your judgments around it. So it's always great to be able to eat organic, right? We want to put the freshest ingredients into our body. Freshest meaning no pesticides, no crap that's not natural, right? We want the sun and the water, fresh waters and the sun to have created the food, or even to have assisted the animals uh, figuring out the best animals. How do I say this? It's a touchy subject, but you know, were they raised in the best way that they possibly could? So pay attention to that kind of stuff, but also pay attention to your judgments, and know that no matter what, your diet's going to be shifting. Your diet's always shifting. And there will be a time where we will all, as we are shifting into the fourth and fifth dimensional frequencies, and when we anchor into the fifth dimension, we will we will be we won't be eating meats. We won't be eating animals. We just won't eat animals. Um, we won't eat animal products. It just won't make sense. You won't be able to. It's like eating a person, right? Plus, it's dense, and you're going to be in more high. You're going to be in more light state. So, anyways, that's the diet thing. I've spoken about the diet thing before, so I'm done. So anyway, that's my diet spiel. How are you guys feeling after this intense full moon portal? Holy Moses, that was intense. And because what happened was we had a portal that opened where intense energy and light, really high frequency light was coming in, like a almost like a galactic portal, like a really high frequency portal that opened. And so all this light and energy was coming down into the physical form. The physical form's like, oh, great, here I go again. And then we had the full moon, which intensifies the energy even more. So I don't know about you guys, but I definitely felt the shift yesterday. And then today I just had this massive hangover and a huge amount of compassion. Lord, give compassion for yourself in your journey. Give compassion for yourself in your journey. Um, so, yeah, compassion was a big one. So the other one that came in, which another question. So Shelly, if you want to ask a question, just ask it right there. I may see it, I may not see it, but we'll see. There's a lot of comments, so just keep asking the question until I see it. All right. So the other question that I've gotten a lot, and people have asked me to do a YouTube on it, is how do you let's see, how can you help family members or close friends through the ascension process, through the dark night of the soul, or how do you even um, how do you even relate to your family and your friends who are not aware of all of this, which is two separate questions. So the first question, how do you assist or help family members or friends that are going through the ascension process, just beginning the ascension process, maybe in a dark night of the soul? First and foremost, you want to remember that we are all unique light beings in physical form, and that we have all chosen the path that we are walking on. We've all chosen whatever unique journey we're on. And so the best way to, you don't want to, helping somebody is tricky because you kind of want to be it's almost like you just want to, it's more of a guidance as opposed to a helping the person, right? You have to have a sense of the bigger picture of what that person's going through, and honoring their journey, right? And honoring what they're going through, how they're navigating it, and having again a neutral way of visualizing it. Um, you don't, there's no right or wrong about how anybody awakens. There's no right or wrong about how anybody starts to move through and continues to move through their ascension process. So when you are with family and friends that are just starting out, you just want to acknowledge, right? Give them acknowledgement, give them empathy, give them compassion. Um, Let them know that they're not alone. How big is that, right? That piece is huge. You don't have to save anybody, and you aren't the one that, you're not responsible for navigating it for them, right? Because if you start to try to help navigate, sort of guide them, even though I use the word guide, if you start to do that, then you're going to get attached. And when you start getting attached, then your ego is at play. And when your ego is at play, you are in duality. So you want to detach. You don't want the ego to be involved when you're a scene. So you're getting a bigger perspective, and you're just holding space for this individual. You know, you're acknowledging what they're going through. You're honoring what they're going through. Um, you're holding compassion and empathy for them, if anything. And if they ask for guidance, if they say, who should I watch? Who should I listen to? What book should I read? Then you provide that. But to come into someone's space and say, oh my God, this is what's happening to you, and you need to do this, 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 it's over. That's ego, right? The higher self, the aspect of you that's the higher self, would love that individual, honor that individual, celebrate that individual, and then wait for that individual to ask, right? If they're in the dark night of the soul, I mean, there was a really amazing quote that Phil Good had up on his Instagram. Um, he had Phil Good is on Instagram. He's got a big following on Instagram and YouTube. Anyways, he had this amazing quote about the dark night of the soul, and I'm going to butcher the quote, but it was something like, the dark night of the soul is basically an older version of you, or a past version of you, that is dying out or is not coming along as you move into the next version of you, right? I like to call it the next highest aspect of you, the next highest version of you. So the dark night of the soul is you burning away, or letting that aspect of you die. So if you know someone that is moving through a dark night of the soul, if you've been through a dark night of the soul, you know that there is really very little you can do for that person, right? When you are in a dark night of the soul, there's not much that somebody else can do and come in and take you out of it. It's your own process. So again, it comes back to having compassion and empathy for that individual, honoring their journey, letting them know they're not alone. So the biggest piece, they're not alone. And the second part of the question, which I think is an even more important piece, is what to do when there's family members and Feel Good. Yeah, Feel Good. I think that's his real name. Um, Family members that aren't coming along for the ride, right? That best close friends that are just like, I ain't doing whatever it is you're doing. So that's their journey, right? We're not all going to ascend in this lifetime. You have to understand that this doesn't just happen and then we ascend and then it's over, right? The earth is currently right now holding three separate dimensions: third, fourth, and fifth. Okay. If you are capable of vibrating in physical form in a fourth dimension, you will enter into that dimension. If you're capable of vibrating physically in a physical form in a fifth dimension, you'll drop down into the Earth's fifth dimensional reality. But we all have to be in physical forms on Earth. That's how it works. So your physical form has to vibrate at the dimension that you're anchored into. Now, if a third dimensional humans dropped in, like all of us are, we dropped in as third dimensional humans. There are millions of third dimensional humans, light beings that dropped into third dimensional form, that have no intention of shifting into the fourth. They have no desire to. They don't want to do it, right? As a light being, that was their choice. Their choice is to be third dimensional. Now, when they pass and they have a choice to come back down into the Earth's experiment, they can choose, perhaps at that time, whenever they pass, if they want to drop in and move through the ascension process, they can do that. If they want to drop straight into a fourth dimensional body, anchored in a fourth dimensional field, they can do that. So there isn't a right or wrong. If there are family members and you're looking around saying, well, how are they not in the ascension process? How do they not understand? Are they going to be left behind? There's no such thing as being left behind. Everything's happening in the now moment. Everything's going to continue to happen in the now moment. And there's no right way of going along this journey. It's all light beings experiencing consciousness in whatever way they want to. We've just been able to, as light workers, shift the vibration of the planet and the earth to a frequency that is now high enough that we can actually physically move into the next dimension, anchor it in. The earth's already done it. The earth's waiting, right? But what you see with your eyes is what you are vibrating in your physical form. So most of us are still physically, our physical form is still vibrating in the third dimensional spectrum. And so when we look out into the earth and into the world, we're like, holy shit, things are really looking bad. If your physical form was anchored in a fifth dimension and you were anchored into the fifth dimensional reality, it would look way different. This is a concept that can be very challenging to understand, which is totally okay. The point is that if there are family members or friends in your life that are not coming along, don't believe you, think you're nuts, fabulous. Again, no judgment, non-duality, right? Neutrality. It all just is. Their journey is their journey. And you have to be able to still be you. You have to still be able to walk your path and talk your truth and be in your light and be in your knowingnesses and continue to expand and grow regardless of how that individual is going to respond to it. Now, as you continue to increase in frequency, you will care less about that individual's experience of you. You'll care less about what how they're responding to you. You'll just recognize it for it just being it. It just is. No judgments, detachment. I think that's important because I think I had a session today, and her and in the session, her children had nothing to do with the ascension process, light workers, any of that. And there was a time in her life where she would try to teach them or share this stuff with them, and the children wanted nothing to do with it. And there was a sadness. And I understand from the human perspective that sadness, but from a much bigger perspective, it's glorious because it's just a light being in a physical form that's choosing to live a specific way, choosing to experience third dimensional consciousness. And, at some point may decide, hey, you know what, maybe I will move forward into this next dimensional frequency that's available. This is when you step out of the third dimensional matrix and start to look at what's actually happening from a much bigger perspective. It's all choice. It's all frequency and vibration. And it's all done inside a physical form. So it's much more complex, and yet it's very simple. If that makes sense. Okay. So that was one of my other questions I wanted to get to. I hope that makes sense. I'm just sitting in this energy for a second. Give me a moment. Okay. There's a lot of energy swirling around, so I'm just grounding in for a moment. This is a good question. One more email question, and then I'm gonna go to you guys. So somebody asked me, do you have to be in the? I can't believe it's already been 24 minutes. This is crazy. Somebody asked me, do you have to be in the heart to move into the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension? So, first of all, it's the heart center. It's the energy center. It's an energy center. It's a vortex. And what happens is it happens at the same time. So it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? So as your vibration increases inside your own physical form through the natural process of all the light coming in and your own conscious awareness of what's happening and your own participation in it, you start to remember, and your higher self starts to guide you back into the fourth energy center, which is where you connect to unity consciousness. It's where you connect to the spark within us all that stems from that source consciousness, right? It's the aspect of you that feels love in its purest form. And so you can do your best to move into that space as often as you can, but your frequency still has to increase in order to anchor into the fourth dimension. So just by coming into that fourth energy center consciously, yes, it can help. It can, but you don't necessarily need to move in here in order to increase your frequency, in order to move into a fourth dimensional field and then the fifth dimensional field. You will naturally find yourself moving into this energetic space naturally through the process of the natural ascension happening. And if you don't move into this space, it doesn't mean I rarely move into my fourth energy center. Believe it or not, it doesn't resonate with me. It's just not the way I'm moving through my ascension process. Am I still shifting and moving into higher states of consciousness? Yeah. Do I feel the energy here? Do I feel it? Yeah, I feel it through my whole entire body, right? So I am connected to that energy center, but I don't need to focus my attention on that energy center in order to allow myself to shift into the fourth dimensional field and then the fifth. However, I will be living in that frequency, and I will be deeply connected to that energy center like I will all my energy centers as I continue to allow myself to increase my vibratory rate and shift into higher dimensional spaces. So again, if you think about this, you guys, this is about this is about duality and right or wrong, good or bad. This is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. This question alone is something that's right to do or wrong to do. Should I be moving into my heart center more in order to, right? There's all of these ways in which we are taught to be able to shift and increase our frequency. And they are tools, but they are not to be attached to. Because what happens if you attach to these tools is then you think and believe through the ego that if I'm not doing these things, then I'm not shifting my vibration. And you're not in charge of shifting your vibration. It happens naturally. What you're in charge, what you're designed to remember is connecting to the higher self so that the higher self can remind you of how this is done. And that there isn't anything you need to do other than becoming extremely conscious of how you're energetically feeling all the time, the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that are coming up that you resonate or don't resonate with, the constant reminders and remembrances that you are in a dualistic reality that isn't the only reality, and how can you step out and become the observer? All these traits that reside in a fourth dimensional frequency and a fifth dimensional frequency, you will begin to naturally, organically tap into, feel, become, do as your vibration increases. And I swear to you, this is my motto, and I will say this till the day I'm done speaking. Ascension happens naturally. You can try to assist it along, but ask yourself, how many times have you tried to assist your own ascension process through increasing your frequency or moving into the heart center, which is all beautiful things to do. There's nothing wrong with any of this. But when you are trying to control the ascension process, your physical form is going to tell you where you're at. So you may tap into these higher frequencies and you may feel this really deep love each time you move into the heart center. And that's great because what it's doing is it's showing you where you are going in your next now moment in the next highest version of you. But by trying to drive this ascension process, you are controlling it, and then you are judging yourself. Well, I wasn't in my heart space today. Well, I wasn't doing this today. Well, I forgot I didn't increase my vibration today. Well, my vibration was really low today. Those are all judgments. And guess what? That's all third dimensional matrix. So here are all these beautiful humans trying to increase their frequency while they're staying really attached to duality, really attached to right, wrong, good, bad, I should, I shouldn't. I should be doing this, I shouldn't be doing this, I didn't do this, I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm supposed to be doing this. It's really hard. Trust me, I get it. I get it. But it's really hard for the human to trust that there's very little they need to do in this ascension process. That's when this is all over, all said and done, when it's all said and done, and let's just say we've passed out of this lifetime and we're floating, we're all of us on this call are floating up above, and we say to ourselves, my freaking God, did I force myself through that? Jesus, I pushed myself, I forced myself into these places and states that I wasn't ready to go into. I beat myself up because I wasn't moving into these energy centers that weren't ready for me to resonate and anchor into yet. And all along, I got to where I needed to go naturally, smoothly, and gracefully. What the freak was I doing, right? But we're human and we're in the matrix. Nothing wrong with this beautiful space we're in. Nothing wrong with this consciousness that we're in. Remember, we chose to come down here to experience it. How acutely aware can you be of this consciousness? So, back to the question. Do I have to be in the heart space? No, you don't have to be anywhere to move into the fourth and fifth dimensional frequency. You have to be acutely aware of you and what you're processing and what you're feeling and what you're experiencing. And how present are you? How much do you love yourself? How much compassion do you have for yourself? If you're constantly beating yourself up and yet you're trying to move into your heart space over and over and over again, and then you come out of the heart space and you're walking around and you're frustrated with yourself and you're upset with yourself, compassion, love for you, love for your journey, telling yourself that you can't do it wrong, that you're a rock star at this. You may be in your pajamas right now, laying on your bed, not being able to get out of your bed for the last 24 hours. And can you say to yourself, you're a mother freaking rock star? You're a rock star. You're freaking doing this. And keep going. Wear your pajamas proud. Eat that pizza proud. This is a fleeting moment, you guys. This is a fleeting moment. This is going to pass. And we're going to look back at this and say, we did it, right? We made it. But we get so stuck in it. And we just like dissect it. So yes, moving into the heart center, moving into that fourth energy center will connect you to source energy. It will connect you to many different aspects of you. It will settle you down. It will bring you into a much more expanded open state. It will allow you to really feel the vibration of love. It will bring you straight into Christ consciousness and unity consciousness, oneness, all of that. Um, um, Hold on one second. Okay, good. I think I just, okay. Okay, anyway. So I'm trying to be proactive here. So anyways, going into the heart center is great. It's fabulous. It feels amazing. And eventually we all will live from that state. We will all be living from that space. We will be embodying that energy throughout the entire physical form. So it helps to go in for sure because you get to feel that. But are you not going to move into the next dimensional frequency if you don't move into that space? No, it's going to happen simultaneously. You're going to be shifting, and then you're going to feel that center more, and you're going to be shifting, and you're going to feel that center more, shifting, feel that center more. And then together, it's just going to be boom, locked in. Okay. And everything I'm saying is what I receive from my guides, and it's my own experience, and yours can be completely separate and completely different. And you can have your own opinion about it and your own experience about it. That's what's so great about the uniqueness of ascension. We all get to do it our own way. But you're a rock star no matter what. Okay. Yes, I'm very familiar with Dolores Cannon. She's going to publish my book, I hope. Her publishing company, I'm hoping, is going to publish my book. But yes, I'm very familiar with her. Who will we meet when we anchor into 4D and 5D? Is there people there that already ascended, like Buddha? Well, Buddha is a being of light. Okay, Buddha, Jesus, all of these beings that were huge catalysts, light workers, were that human form, but their light was from somewhere else, their light being dropped in. So if they choose to incarnate into the fifth dimensional earth plane, most likely they're not going to anchor it in that same Buddha form. They may anchor it in a different type of form. So no, to answer your question, when you move into the fifth dimensional frequency on earth, you're most likely not going to see people that existed in the third dimension in that same third dimensional form. But that light being may come back in a different form. You will be able to access higher frequencies. You will be able to connect to galactic beings. You will be able to probably see galactic beings. When the Earth was originally in a fifth dimensional vibration, millions of years ago, when she started out in a fifth dimensional field. And so every physical form was in a fifth dimensional vibration. And so when the light being dropped in, they dropped right into the fifth dimensional vibrational form, and they were aligned and connected. And at that time, the fifth dimensional human, could connect to the galactics, could connect to the other higher dimensional races and beings. They could energetically connect to them. These other beings, if they were in a low enough frequency dimension, could bring themselves down, interact, teach the fifth dimensional human about energies, consciousness, all of that kind of stuff. So when you anchor into physically, the physical form is able to anchor into a fifth dimensional field, world, reality. You will have access to much more consciousness. You will be completely open and free flowing, so to speak. If that makes sense. Why are women more connected than men? So that's a really great question. So when you're a light being, you come in not as a male or a female, okay? You come in as a higher dimensional frequency, and there may be aspects of the feminine that you're holding more of, or aspects of the masculine, depending upon where you came from. The higher you vibrate in frequency, there is no male and female. Okay. The lower in frequency you go in dimension, you start to separate and differentiate and experience masculine and feminine. Okay. So in a third dimension, there is very obvious masculine traits, masculine energy, masculine consciousness, and there's a very obvious, palpable feminine consciousness. Now, I would say, if I had to tap into why the male human is having a more could be having a more challenging time kind of coming in, connecting and realigning with their emotions, thoughts, beliefs, and those kinds of things, is just based on the matrix in general, right? There are programs and paradigms that this matrix holds for a masculine human being and a feminine human being, right? So the masculine human is designed in this program to be strong, to not have emotions, to not cry, to be the protector, to be the provider. And when you are growing up with these consciousnesses and paradigms, belief systems, you start to detach from your natural energetic being. You detach from your physical form because your physical form is where you feel. You feel everything inside the physical form. And so it's much more acceptable, I think, for the female version of the human being to feel more. It's okay in certain situations for the female to cry and to express. And by doing so, they are more comfortable doing that. And so what's happening now is that every human being that is choosing to move through the ascension process has to move back into the body. And so many males, masculine humans, are having a hard time remembering how to do that because the programming and belief systems and paradigms that the third dimensional reality holds does the opposite for a male human. It pulls them out of their body. It asks them to ignore their energetic signs. It asks them to ignore the resonance. It asks them to ignore their intuition. It asks them to think, right? And to protect and to make sense of things, solve problems, those kinds of things. So I think that would be one of the reasons, if that makes sense. Let's see, what else do we have? The manifestations, what are your thoughts about the density of money? How is money going to play out during the transition? Okay, money and then twin flames. Okay, money. Money's a vibration. Okay, so here's money, how money doesn't exist other than that you could palpably hold a piece of paper, right? So like money is a vibration and it looks like a piece of paper. Okay? And we all have different beliefs, programs, and paradigms, thoughts, consciousness around money based on the family we grew up in, the way we were raised, um, the experiences we had around money growing up. Was it easy? Was it challenging? Was I had lack the whole time? Did I have abundance the whole time? When you're young, you create belief systems and programs around how you experience the energy of money. Money is not a bad thing. Money allows the light being in human form to have everything it wants at its fingertips if if the human understands that it's just a vibration, it's just a consciousness. And so then you begin to learn how to play with the friend called money. You start to learn to step out of the matrix and all of the programming around money, which then requires you to no longer listen to what anyone is going to tell you about money and their experiences about money. It's going to require you to let go of all of the past ways that you've experienced money. It's going to require you to no longer follow many of the ways in which humans deal with money, right? Meaning, well, I've got to pay these bills. And if I don't have these bills paid and I'm supposed to have these paychecks that come in these certain times, that's all beautiful. And those systems work and they're in place for a reason, right? But when you start to play with the energetics of money, none of that matters. If you have the vibrational knowingness of how money works and you connect to money in a vibrational way, you can bring money to you. It sounds freaking crazy, but I've lived this way for over 2 years. And I can honestly tell you that my relationship with money is energy, just an energy. I don't buy into any of the beliefs and programs that a lot of humans do with money. And my family thinks I'm nuts. I don't have issues with money. And I don't worry about how the money's going to come. As long as I am doing what I am asking of myself to do, being told by my guides to do, following the guidance, then I will receive. Now, if you're doing a job that you don't like and you lived in a very lack mentality for a very long time, this is going to be challenging. Um, Money is just a vibration. And so you have to start to get really conscious of how you think about money, how you view money. Are you always anticipating not having enough? Are you always holding on to money? Ted Danson said this really amazing quote once on an interview. He said, "This is how I visualize money." He says, I visualize myself as a piggy bank, but the piggy bank is open at the bottom, right? And if I open myself up and just allow money to keep dropping in, and I'm constantly allowing it to go out, right? Then there's this free flowing energy of money. He says, but if I close myself up and don't spend it and just pretend like I have to hold and hold and hold, then it will creep up to the top and it will stop and I won't be able to receive anymore. I won't be able to receive the way that I'm constantly receiving money. And that's exactly how money works. If you know, if you fall into and surrender into, I have enough money, I have enough money, you're always going to have enough money. And I know so many people that are going to listen to this and say that's ridiculous. And in one vibration it is ridiculous, and in another vibration it's how consciousness works, it's how energy works. So for those of you that are struggling with money and lack mentality and frustrated with it and never having enough, I get it, it's part of this matrix. Can you begin to get really, really conscious of how you see money, how you behave with money? Here's a really good clue of how you behave with money. How often do you just give? And when you're giving that tip or that dollar, are you stopping and saying, I'm only going to give $1, but you have a $5 bill there, right? That's lack. If you know that you're abundant and you're connected to the abundant back, that $5 will come back tenfold if I give. So start to watch. I'm telling you guys, I'm only telling you this from my own experience. I also have a little note in my wallet, side note. I've had this note in my wallet for 15, 20 years. It says, I'm abundantly wealthy. I think that's what it says. And I open my wallet up every single day, and there's this note that reminds me that I'm abundantly wealthy, or I have abundant wealth, something like that, right? I don't know. So I am constantly reminding myself of how energy works or how money works. And I am very conscious of when I am in I only have a certain amount of money, I'm in restriction, I'm in tightness, right? I'm going to hold back. Great, just be aware of that. That's not how energy flows. That's not how abundance flows. That's not how money flows. Now, this is a practice that can take a very long time, and it's not necessarily easy, okay? But that's how I live. I don't ever worry about money. And money comes to me in my bank account doesn't really fluctuate. It's the craziest freaking thing. And I'm not kidding you. I tell my mom this all the time. I'm like, I don't understand. My bank account doesn't move very much. It doesn't fluctuate. It's like money's coming in from I don't even know where, because I believe that I'm always taken care of. I believe that I always have money. When you start working in the quantum field, it's miraculous. And I know it's not easy. And I'm no different than you. You're a rock star and I'm a rock star. I'm no different than you. None. There's nothing unique about me I mean, we're all unique, but there's nothing different about me than you. We all have the ability to live this way. And to answer the question, money will not be existing in the platform that it exists in a fifth dimension. There's no need for it. There's absolutely no need in a fifth dimensional frequency, in a fifth dimensional consciousness, uh, for money. It will be laughed at. Not really. They're not going to laugh at it, but it'll be very foreign. There's no lack, and there's no desire for like you're just so present, and you have complete manifestation abilities. So there's no need for money. You can manifest anything you want. And typically in a fifth dimensional frequency, when you're anchored into it with your physical form, your desires are of the highest intent. So it's not like you're going to be desiring, like, you know, not so great things. So there's absolutely no need for money. That makes sense to you guys. Thanks. Um, all right, let's see. Soul Free, share your Octurian story. I love the Octurians. God, you guys, I could talk about star beings forever. Um, Octurians are funny. They are very mischievous. They love to be seen. Um, yeah, see, a light shot across the night sky. The Octurians are the most like so active um, star beings in the sky. If you ask, I'm telling you, if you ask the I've seen them too, Soul Free. They want to be seen more than any other star system. They want to they love interacting. They giggle, they laugh, they hide things from humans. Um, they're also all about healing and teaching the human and reminding the human how to heal. They have really powerful tools, highly advanced um, sacred geometric tools that can heal the human and teach the human how to work with higher states of consciousness. So they're really, really highly intelligent beings, but they are hilarious. So if you want to see an Octurian, if you want to engage with an Octurian, call them into your space and then just be open. Have no expectation, right? Don't try to like make an expectation or hold on to an experience, right? It's just sort of like, okay, I want to see an Octurian. I want to feel an Octurian. I want to experience an Octurian. There's a lot of blue color around the Nocturian. You may see things kind of shifting around you. You may see something outside, but they'll do it. They'll do the best they can. It's a matter of whether we can feel it and see it or not. Um, Climate change is still a part of. So climate change. How does climate change not matter in the 4D? The 4D is tricky. The 4D is still when you're anchored into a fourth dimensional reality, there is still duality. There's still aspects of duality in the fourth dimension, but they're not as intense. So climate change, it's almost as if you're watching three screens. This is maybe the best way I can put it. And in the third dimensional screen, you can see all the really bad, quote unquote, bad destruction happening on Earth. And as you start to move yourself and look at the second screen, which is the fourth dimension, you start to notice that most of what you're looking at is the beauty, the peace, the reconstruction, the health, the abundance, the prosperity. There's a fraction in that dimensional screen where there's still some chaos, a little bit of fuzzy third dimensional stuff that's still there, but it's not third dimensional, it's still fourth dimensional. You have to realize that each dimension is a spectrum. So when you're in a fourth dimensional dimension, when you're anchored in a fourth dimension, you're still close to a third dimension. So that closeness still creates the ability to tap into that like a 4.1, 4.2 is still close to a 3.7, 3.8, 3.9 in consciousness. So climate change doesn't have an impact on the fourth dimension, meaning that there isn't a need to worry about it like we worry about it in the third dimension. It's taken care of in the fourth dimension. It's already shifting mostly out of that chaotic consciousness. Climate change is a consciousness in the third dimension. It's the human playing out that consciousness in the third dimension. So as you start to look at the screen and you start to anchor into, and you physically anchor into the fourth dimension, what you're going to see is 90% health, 10% destruction still. And then when you shift all the way into the fifth dimensional frequency and consciousness, you're so far from climate change. Climate change is basically the impact of the human on the earth plane, positive or negative, right? And so it's that consciousness doesn't exist in a fifth dimensional space. When you look at that fifth dimensional screen, it's a completely different reality. You can't even find the words climate change in a fifth dimensional consciousness. What the human doesn't understand is that literally, this is why we're not anchored in a fourth, fifth dimension yet, because how you view the world, the words you use, the way you are, all of that it's not even an option in a fifth dimensional consciousness. When you are anchored into a fifth dimensional consciousness, you can't even go there. You can't tap into that consciousness. It's not available. Each dimension is a field in and of itself. It's a matrix in and of itself. So when you're in a fifth dimensional field or matrix, your reality is that field. It's that matrix. Now in a quantum space, you can tap into all of it. So you can easily move yourself energetically back to the third dimension and say, oh, there's climate change and this is how it looks and feels. But in the present moment now, when you're just anchored into the fifth dimension and experiencing that now reality, you can't tap that doesn't come along. It's a vibration. Climate change is a vibration. It's a consciousness. All right. What else do we have? Oh, twin flames. Thank you, Bobby. I'll talk about twin flames for a second. And time in the 5D. So is there twin flames, but time in the 5D. Time doesn't really exist in the now time there, yes, there is time, but it's collapsed. So it's almost like there's no conscious time moving, meaning like when Earth was first in the fifth dimensional frequency. Hold on a second. When Earth was in a fifth dimensional frequency, a human form, which was vibrating to fifth dimensional frequency, would live in that body for thousands of years. It could live for a very long time. So there was no aging process like we experience now. So it's not the same sort of thing, but there is a lapse of moments. There is an awareness that some consciousness is moving. It's really hard to explain. Consciousness is moving. It's not stagnant. So there is shifting of consciousness. There is movement. But as a fifth dimensional human anchored in the fifth dimension, you're not aware of time. You're not aware that an hour went by. You're not aware that a day went by. You're not aware that a month went by. You're not aware that a year. That awareness isn't there because you're present. All you're aware of is a now moment. Everything else is wiped away. But on a bigger perspective, from these beings that are watching the fifth dimensional Earth, there is a movement. There is a lapse of time because it is still a fifth dimensional frequency. It's still vibrating low enough where it can still stretch a little bit and be experienced as movement. Time is basically consciousness moving. So if consciousness, which is energy, is slowed down, so all consciousness is energy moving, vibrating. So if energy slows way down, it gets longer, it slows, it's long, and then you can watch it move. That's time. So as consciousness increases, it speeds up, and this long watching of consciousness move squeezes together. Then you're not moving in the same way. You're present. So in a fifth dimension, there's still movement, but the human form isn't watching that movement as much. I hope that makes sense. Okay, twin flames. Twin flames. So this is my take. I actually have a current now moment twin flame that is my life partner, not my sexual, spiritual, romantic partner. My spiritual partner, my partner that came down and dropped down with me, and we both came together and said, okay, let's do this thing. Do I have other partners in relationships romantically? Absolutely. But he is my other half. He and I came down at the same time and agreed to do this together. We are not together in the same town, in the same city, and in the same state for good reasons. I have a hard time getting my work done with him around. And, anyways, it's been a very long process. There are many different types of twin flames. And that's really, really crucial to recognize. There are very powerful reasons that a soul would choose to incarnate onto the earth with another aspect of themselves in that physical form. What's happening right now has less to do with twin flames and more to do with divine partnership. So the human language can get really confusing. What's happening is the pure essence of a twin flame is not necessarily a romantic relationship. A divine partnership is when you find that person, that human, that in that now moment completes you in that now moment of vibration. But if you understand the quantum field and if you understand your own energetic frequency and how it's shifting, it becomes really challenging to think that you are going to find an individual that could be your divine partner in that now moment that will shift in vibration with you at the exact same time so that you will remain as divine counterparts. You know your own ascension process and journey. You know how it is with relationships. A divine partner is somebody that in that moment matches you in a way that you have never been matched before. And so there is a resonance that you have never felt before. And God bless all of the humans that are able to find that counterpart. What happens is, let's talk about duality again, right, wrong, good, bad, the ego. What happens is that the human gets attached to the concept of twin flame, divine counterpart, my other half, and we constrict, we force, we resist, we control. And who is that? It's your ego. It's your ego. It's not the higher self. The higher self would come in and play in this divine partnership for as long as that frequency lasted. If and when or that frequency between the two of you shifted and it was no longer of service, then your higher self would allow it to go, to release. Um, a twin flame is a little bit different from my experience. It is a catalyst. It is not necessarily someone that you are designed to be with in partnership, relationship, romantically, or any of those ways your entire life. You have to find the fit that works. And for many, that fit is separation. The the twin flame is designed to be a catalyst. That is why you dropped in with this other part of you. It is a connection and a match that is like no other. And yet it's the human gets confused and thinks that that connection is love and partnership and forever. And that's where it gets real wonky, because typically an actual twin flame is not designed to have a normal three-dimensional relationship. Now, there are many twin flames that are together right now and they're doing their service work. But if you ask them about their relationship, it would be very different than what you're thinking a twin flame relationship is like. Very different. So, from my experience and my opinion, a twin flame is a catalyst. And how long that lasts is up to you and the other individual. But it's meant to push you out of where you are and into what you're designed to do here on this earth plane. And they're all, it's very unique in how each one works. But unfortunately, there are many people out there that are marketing the twin flame in a way that is allowing the human's ego to attach to it and desire it and want it and crave it. And it can be a little bit of a disservice. So, if anything about this conversation, I would say that as we increase in vibration, our relationships shift and we start to find these really powerful, energetic partnerships, divine partners. But what's really, really important to understand is don't attach to any of it. If you start attaching to something, then you are, I mean, you can attach to it, it's fine. But if you want to begin to work with and live through the higher self, with the higher self, and into these next dimensions that we're shifting into, you want to be aware of the ego. And relationships are part of that. If you are attached and holding and desiring and grabbing something and not just being in it freely and openly, just observe that. It's your ego. Observe it. Again, we're all rock stars here. So there's nothing bad about that, right? But how conscious can you be of that relationship that you may be in, the relationship that you're trying to separate from, the relationship that you're trying to hold? When you are living in a present moment state, connected to higher self, what you'll start to notice is that you're very present in your relationships and that there are many divine partners out there. There are many divine counterparts that are going to come in and play a role in your life. If you believe that there's only one, then you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. And you can believe anything you want to believe. You can hold any program and paradigm that you want. But be careful what you are believing in, because it can cause suffering. What you believe in can cause suffering. What your ego wants to believe in can cause suffering. So, yeah. Oh, hi, Joe, Yogi Joe. That's my twin flame, Yogi Joe. That is my twin flame, Yogi Joe. He's here. I'm so glad you're here. So free. Lori, I'm male. I had a dream where a male approached me saying he was the other half of me. Yes. So, Nathaniel. Yes. So, your twin flame in third dimensional human form will be an actual physical form, but your twin flame, if you separated and created a twin, the twin could also be in a higher dimensional frequency supporting you. And for instance, in your dream state, you may connect with them. Um, they may be in another collective consciousness, right? Another star system. I've had many clients that have connected to their other half in that star system because they have been traveling together as one, experiencing different consciousnesses together as one, but separate. So, Nathaniel, to answer your question, there isn't any gender in the twin flame experience. So it could be a mother and a daughter. It could be a father and a son. It could be a two males that are not sexually attracted to each other. It could be two females that are not sexually attracted to each other. Sex has nothing to do with the twin flame experience. Nothing. Um, it can be an experience that is had that can be very profound and powerful, but it is not the reason for the twin flame experience. Again, the twin flame, the reason for two twins to drop into human form together in this lifetime is to be the catalysts and shift the human. Apparently, the human needed a major kick in the ass, and that's what the other half is designed to do, and vice versa. So it's really not about relationship at all. It's not about boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife. Um, it's much bigger than that. It's a much higher consciousness than that. Um, Now, divine partners that I call divine partners, those are very romantic and very boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, boyfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, husband, husband, wife, wife, that kind of thing. Um, but it's not about that kind of thing, you know? Main purpose of being from Antares. God, it kind of depends on what you chose to do when you came down here. Antares beings are pioneers, so to speak. Um, they're explorers. They're not explorers in the sense of like get on a ship and go and explore the world. They're explorers in consciousness. They're explorers in energy. They're curious. They are they're experiential or experimental. So if you're from the Antares star system and you dropped into physical form, there's probably two pieces playing out for you. One, if you're from Antares and you're watching this video, you're probably a light worker. So if you're a light worker from Antares, then you are probably either doing work or going to be doing work that has to do with exploring new avenues of energy, new avenues of consciousness, um, uh, things that haven't been done before. They're like the explorers of the new that hasn't been happening yet. And then there's the other part of them is that they're very um, powerful in their ways and yet very quiet and humble. So they have a punch to them, but they're not loud, obnoxious. You wouldn't know they were in the room. Um, but they create a very powerful ripple effect energetically. And they've been around for a very long time. They're very powerful, powerful beings. And they're all about the exploration of what hasn't been created, designed, or seen yet, that kind of a thing. That I hope that helps and makes sense. Soulmates are another topic. Yeah. Um, Eric, I didn't get Eric's question. Any thoughts on the Blu-ray Orifim? I have never heard of that. The Blu-ray Orifim. Enlighten me. Empowering Angel and Terrace. I would, well, you have the information. They have the information with you. So two things, Empowering Angel. One, you can Google it, but be very resonant. Be very careful of what you're resonating with when you Google. They don't look like anything that's online. If there's pictures, ignore the pictures. Okay. These beings are much higher frequency and vibration. They don't have form. Many light beings and star beings don't have form, but they have shown themselves in form to humans. So anyway, Google it or start asking them to come in to your space, come into your space, come into your room, come into your space, come into your space. Now, the Antares system are subtle. They hang back. They're not like the Octurians, right? So the Octurians are going to be like, woohoo, it's a party, shut us in, here we come. And they're going to do everything they can to get you to hear them. Antares is like, hey, cool, what's up? Good job. You're awesome. Here's what we want you to know. And you're kind of like, where are you? I can't hear you. I can't feel you. Um, So it's kind of like you have to start to engage and open yourself to them. So start to engage and open actively, consciously, and you'll start to hear them. Quiet, faint, you'll start to hear them. And I'm sure there's people channeling them. Just be very resonant. What feels right to you? What feels good to you? Um, that kind of a thing. Hold on one second. Okay. Oh, good. Okay. So channel. So connect with them. Maybe you are. You probably are. You probably are. Um, yeah, so Antares has been around for millions of years, like the Palladians, but they're quiet, they're humble, they're silent, powerful beings that don't care that most humans in the third dimension don't remember them. They don't care. Um, but there's millions of humans that have dropped in from that system. I don't know about the 13 crystal skulls. Do you have knowledge of Avalon, fairies, Pleiadians? Yeah, there's a lot of information about the Avalon fairies, Pleiadians. I'm not sure the question. All right, what else? Any other questions? Any other questions? I'll go back up and see. What was Eric's question that he had? Sorry, I'm sure if you're watching this um, on the replay, it's annoying. I can't find it. Any other questions before I jump off? It's already 5:15. Oh, the book. Laura, ask me the question again. Laura, ask the question again. I don't know where it is. Um, oh, are we all from somewhere else? Yeah. I mean, yes, the human form, the human being is not a race, even though people say the human being is a race. It's not a race. It is an experiment and an experience. So the human body, the human form, and the earth is a being, the earth is a consciousness. Okay. Human beings are just physical forms where with light beings inside them, experiencing whatever consciousness that form is in, the physical form. So right now, most of us are physically in a third dimensional consciousness. We are not third dimensional consciousnesses. We are experiencing third dimensional consciousness in physical form. So we came from somewhere else. Where is there's a bazillion places that your consciousness could have come from, right? You could have come from a galactic system, a star system, a collective. You could have come from an angelic realm. You could have come from a fifth dimensional race. You could have come from some sort of hybridization of different galactic beings, star beings. You could have come from another planetary system that is holding a different collective consciousness. There are many, many races and collectives and lights consciousnesses that have created different races throughout the history of Earth. You could have come there, but you absolutely, nobody is manifested on as that's not how it works. That's not the design. Every being, every human form has a being, a light being that dropped in. So from my experience, from my knowledge, and from what I receive, that's what I know. Um, it's an experiment, it's an experience, and it's an insane one. I hope that makes sense. Oh, you're so welcome for the Blue Avion meditation. Shoot, Laura. Oh, there you are, Laura. Okay, there you are. Okay, I got it. I once sat watching a distant lightning storm. Later, when I went inside, I saw a whitish outline around my hands. Whitish we're not going to be able to have this conversation, but okay. So my question would be, were your hands there? It's energy. So you were seeing energy. You were seeing high vibrational energy, frequency around your hands. That's what it looks like. So my question would be, what were your hands? Were your hands a little bit see-through-ish? Like could you, were they not as dense as they normally are? Meaning, was your own hand at a higher frequency? My question. Um, but it sounds like you're thinking, no. Okay. So you're thinking in your head, oh, I was watching all this light and then I came back and I looked at my hands and my eyes were tricking me and I saw all this light. That could be one scenario. The other scenario could be is that whatever was happening up in that sky increased your vibration and frequency. And only because we're not used to that and we're not always in our bodies being acutely aware of how we're energetically feeling, we don't realize when we are increasing our frequency. But when you looked at your hand, there was light around it. So you were seeing energy around your hand. That's probably what actually occurred. But what happens to the human mind and the ego is, well, that's only because I was looking at light moving around. What's probably is that you were looking at energy. You saw energy. This happens to us a lot. We doubt, we question. Oh, it can't be. That would be crazy. We can't be. Um, that doesn't make sense. It couldn't be this easy. I can't just see like that. Yeah, you can. It is that easy. So it's possible that it's possible. Yeah, it's energy. This is why ascension is a very slow process because I mean, look at how hard it is sometimes to just really believe that we are seeing energy around us, right? Like, it, the, and there's so much energy and consciousness around us, it would blow our minds, let alone the beings around us that are vibrating a higher consciousness. We would literally go into a psychosis, perhaps, some of us, if we actually were able to move into a higher vibrational state, pretty high vibrational state, and recognize all the beings around us. Um, there's a lot going on energetically. So, beautiful example, Laura, of really trusting that it's that simple, it's that easy. Energy shows itself like that, and trust yourself. Trust yourself. Oh, that's great. So you're an energy reader, so you can read energy. So whether you know that or not, if you can see your own aura, then hello, this was energy you were looking at. It's awesome. play with it more, um, oh, my book. My book is going to be about the history of Earth from when she was first designed in a fifth dimensional frequency, and her journey, and how the human form was designed, how the first beings dropped into the human form millions of years ago, how the civilizations created themselves, Lemuria and Atlantis and all the other ones, how the human form shifted down into a fourth dimensional consciousness and then a third dimensional consciousness, how those beings created 5D races and 4D races, what happened once the earth moved into a third dimension, the opening up of light workers at that time, all the different light workers that came in, how that whole process worked, and then the journey from around 16,000 years ago to where we are now, and everything that has occurred with our own physical bodies, and the opening up of the grid system to allow light beings to come in, which then allowed fourth dimensional beings to come in, which then opened up the abduction program, hybridization program, mind control, how we closed the grid off so that the earth could restore herself, all the different light workers that played a role in that, and where we are now. So I'm really excited about the book. It's been a amazing journey, and I just want it done. So I'm having patience with myself, but it's a beautiful piece of information. I'm excited to share it with you guys. What are the colors that we see with our eyes closed? I don't know that answer. If anybody else knows Marie's answer, please answer that. What are the colors we see with our eyes closed and why? I don't know that answer. Is it true that in order to keep your third eye open, you should avoid calcium and iron supplements? Now, you're talking to the wrong person. I don't believe any of these things. I don't buy into shouldn'ts. I don't buy into that. So I'm going to say that my third eye is open and I don't care if I'm having calcium or iron supplements. So the human third dimension will create much more of a complexity around awakening, and that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that information. I'm just choosing to do it easier. So my answer would be, for me, no, not for me. But there are many humans that have received really great benefits from that information. So again, it's choice and what you want to hold as your reality, believe it or not. Um, I typically try not to buy into things that are like, oh, you should do this, or this helps, or I don't like that. Maybe that's my own thing as well, but I'm sure it's a biological thing. And I also know that when you start to shift into higher states of consciousness, the carbon-based biology shifts. Consciousness shifts. It becomes light. It becomes energy. It doesn't have an impact on calcium and iron. So, yes, from a biological, carbon-based physical reality, it probably plays a role somewhere, somehow. But the third eye is energy. It's an energetic vortex. And so if you can bypass the dense kind of biology of it, you can access it and tap into it. That makes sense. It's all about beliefs. We all can have our own beliefs. That's the great thing about being a human being. We can believe whatever we want to believe. I always choose to believe the easiest route. Please God, I want the easiest freaking route. And so far, it's unraveled for me easily. If you can dream, your third eye is open. That's awesome. I've never heard that. If you can dream, your third eye is open. That's actually very true because when you dream, your etheric body is leaving your form and your etheric body is experiencing multiple dimensions. Your etheric body is out traveling into different portals and different dimensions and different galactic systems and planets and wherever it wants to go, right? And it's the third eye. I've actually never thought about that. That is so true. It's the third eye that is digesting that or pulling that information in as you're dreaming. Genius. That is simplicity. I don't know who you are, but that was great. Thank you. That's really pretty genius. When I close my eyes, I see colors in different forms that change in shape and size. I have a problem remembering my dreams. Any tips on remembering dreams? I mean, okay, don't laugh at me, but you know what I'm going to say. It's detach from remembering your dreams. Who cares? But I get it. I trust me, I get it. I fall into that all the time. That's where I go. It's like, well, don't attach to wanting to remember your dreams. But I don't know an easy way to remember your dreams. I mean, hold the intention when you go to bed at night. Um, have a notepad when you wake up. You're I think it's easier right when you wake up. You know, the other thing you can do that people have done, if you really want to remember your dreams, set an alarm in the middle of the night. You'll wake up and you'll remember your dream. Is there a way to not astral travel? Ooh, that's a really good question. Is there a way to not astral travel? I don't think so. I mean, basically, astral traveling is your etheric body leaving your physical form and experiencing um, other dimensions, other frequencies, other consciousness. It's just leaving the physical form um, and moving into higher states of consciousness to learn to do whatever it's going to do, to be with other beings. Um, so that's a really good question. Is it possible to not, for the etheric body to not leave physical form? I don't know. Let me sit with that one. What do you guys think? I don't know. I want to say yeah, but I don't know. Um, yep, you can ask your higher self, set an alarm in the middle of the night, see what happens when you wake up. Have a notepad, have a pen, and set your alarm, and you will remember your dreams. Trust me. Um, wondering why you are exhausted. My ego has strong resistance to express myself, true self, and realize ground, planes, wishes, mission, naturally just do it, but really move in reality. Can you please talk about it? Wait, I'm not exactly sure what the question is, Daff. I don't know your question, Daff, so ask it again. What's the best way to combat people's negativity on the relationships you make? Tiffany has a great question. Tiffany's question: what's the best way to combat people's negativity on the relationships you make when you're guided to do one thing, but others are so negative about it? This is going to happen until you are not impacted by it anymore. So your vibration has shifted where you're no longer impacted by it. But until then, you will be energetically impacted by it. So the way that you can navigate other people in your life that have their own opinions and are butting into your relationships is to so what I'm hearing right now is this might be just for you. What's your name? I forgot. Hold on. Tiffany. They're saying hold yourself accountable. I don't know what that means. So there's your experience is yours, and these humans are going to have their own experiences about this that you're doing, and that's okay. There will be a time where you will not be impacted by that. I can't remember the word they said in the beginning, but whatever that word is, I think that's important. What was the word they said to Tiffany? Um, Whatever that was, I can't remember. Um, I lost me too. I lost it. Tiffany, I lost it. Um, Completely lost that channel. Accountability. Accountability. Hi, Jocelyn. Hello, lovely. Hey, Jason. Accountability. Yeah. Accountability, which is basically speaking your truth. So, not being impacted by somebody else's energy or somebody else's space. And how do you do that? You have to learn to stand in your own sovereign field, which is your own energetic field, which is like, this is what I feel. This is what I'm resonating in. This is what I believe. This is what I know. This is my now moment. This is my now experience. These are my now people. This is my now relationship. This is my now everything. And there will always be individuals that will have opinions about that or experiences about them. But the stronger you're able to hold yourself in your sovereign field with your sovereign choices, with your sovereign vibration, you won't be impacted by what is happening on the outside. You'll be held and contained. You'll be accountable for just this. You're not responsible for how somebody else responds or reacts. Your life is not about pleasing somebody else. Your life is not about making sure that somebody else is comfortable through your choices. They're comfortable with the choices you're making. And the way you become more strong and confident in that is getting real clear on your own energetic resonance, on your own energetic vibration, on your own higher self, on your own knowingnesses, on what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you, how often in your life you've been a people pleaser, how often in your life you have sugarcoated things, how often in your life you have beat around the bush so you didn't have to confront somebody, how often in your life you cowardly kind of caved in so that that other person could feel okay about the choices that you're making in your life, right? We've all been there. But what's happening and what we are starting to feel energetically more and more is this really strong energetic resonance. Ouch, I can feel these people more. And I'm starting to feel my own resonance stronger. And when I do that, I am recognizing my own energy and frequency, and I'm being asked to listen to it. I'm being asked to do things differently. I'm being asked to live differently. So one of the things that's happening is you are being asked to hold yourself accountable for what feels right to you, what is your truth, regardless of what anyone else is doing or saying. I hope that helps, Tiffany. I'm not sure if that resonated, but I want to do a video on I want to do a video on understanding your dimension, your frequency, and what frequency you're at will dictate your experience with another human's frequency. I really want to do that, but not right now. Lisa, what's happening when I look at some people and their faces and head literally keep changing into other people? I have no idea. I'm sorry, Lisa, I can't help on that one. Beth, blue spheres blue orbs, it's energy, it's consciousness. So typically, consciousness is like, let's just say, it's not an Octurian because Octurians don't move into orbs. Usually that's like uh, light beings that are at a very high frequency that move themselves down into a lower frequency to be seen. And because they're high frequency, it's light. It can also be angelic realms that are moving themselves into an energetic vibration that is seen as those orbs. It can be fairies that are moving themselves into orbs. It's consciousness. It's beings or consciousness that is moving themselves down into a little bit lower frequency to be seen in the third dimensional frequency. So it is an energy and a consciousness. It is some sort of being, so to speak. Typically, galactic beings don't move into spheres and orbs and things like that. They'll do other things. It might be like flashes of light that move, or things that you kind of see standing long kind of light, things like that. But typically galactic beings, star beings, don't move into orbs, those kinds of things. All right. Let's see. I get a lot of random visual flashes. Yes, so the random flashes, that's great. I do too. The random flashes is consciousness moving. It's energy, it's beings, from my experience. So, um, have you ever had that thing where you're closing your eyes and all of a sudden you feel like something got brighter in the room, or something got darker in the room, or like there's something moving in the room, but you're afraid to open your eyes sometimes? Like, so when you see light moving flashes, even with your eyes closed, it's conscious, it's energetic beings of some frequency that has the ability to move into your awareness and consciousness, kind of break through the veils into the third dimensional frequency by lowering their frequency. You also have probably increased your frequency a little bit, whether you're aware of it or not. And they're being seen and experienced through that light, through that flash. If you were to be able to raise your vibration high enough to actually match their vibration, let's say it's a ninth dimensional being that's coming into your space, and they bring themselves down, it's almost like the veils thin and there's a matching of dimensions really quickly, almost like dimensions merge, and they're able to kind of drop in real fast and then drop out. Almost like you move into a quantum space instantaneously, and these beings are able to move in and then poof, they move out, right? Doesn't last very long. Um, they do have to raise their vibration down a little bit. You have to increase your vibration just a tad bit. And then it's like, you see it. And the higher we raise our vibrations, the higher our vibration is naturally, the more we'll be able to see these things all the time. The sparkles, I don't know what the sparkles are. The sparkles, the sparkles, the sparkles. It could be consciousness. It's energy, right? It's energy of some sort that you're seeing. It's just a matter of what is it, right? Right. Yeah. There's times where like it'll get really dark all of a sudden. I'm like, why is it getting dark? And then nothing's happened though, the lights haven't gone out. What do you think of iconic? Iconic influence. I don't know what iconic is. Not sure. What else? Anything else, you guys, before I go? I'm enjoying this. Archon. I still don't know what that is. What's archonic? Tell me what archonic is and maybe I can answer it. How do you leave the 3D matrix job? You hold both realities. So, Holly, you want to hold the reality of I'm in a third dimensional job and this is what I'm doing and it provides me with what I need. And I am also tapping into that aspect of me that is no longer doing the third dimensional job. First of all, what's a third dimensional job and what isn't? So, what would be a non third dimensional job? Um, Can you detach from any judgment around a third dimensional job? The less attachment and judgment you have around it, the faster you can move into that which you want to create and manifest. Um, so, can you begin to really design that aspect of you that's already doing that which you are desiring to tap into? Can you begin to hold it? Can you begin to smell it, see it, feel it, know that it is so? If you are tapping into it, it already is in another now moment. So, another timeline, you can say. You just have to walk into it through a very dense consciousness. So you have to move through all the density that you're in, which is fear, lack, limitation, whatever may come up in terms of leaving where you are to get to where you want to be. There's all these things that happen in this field and in this space that make it really difficult to pop into a different now moment timeline. So you have to start to make this a reality. You have to start to make this real. You have to start to bring this out of the quantum and into the now. And the way you do that is that you start to visualize it, feel it, hear it, see it, know it. And as you're doing that, you start to recognize what your own restrictions are, what your own ego is telling you about it. Get really clear on that. Um, and when you can start to hold both of these as both happening in the now moment, then it just becomes a game of, I can't wait. I'm so excited. When am I going to be jumping right into this? I can't wait to be right there, right? That's where there's no judgment. That's why you want to be in a neutral place as much as possible. Instead of, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I want to be somewhere else, I want to be somewhere else. Why am I not there? Why am I not there? Why am I not there? When am I going to get there? When am I going to get there? You have to meet this other aspect of you and hold it with absolute knowingness. Manifestation can take a very long time in the third dimension. It can be torturous sometimes, but it happens. It just happens in sometimes a time frame that's uncomfortable for us. But you've got to get real clear on your thoughts, your beliefs, your limitations, your expectations, your judgments, all of that. Hope that helps. Orion energy. Orion energy. Orion energy, and then I'll answer Tiffany's. When along the journey did you find out your life purpose? Okay, Orion energy. The Orion energy consciousness is huge. It's a very, very large collective, and it too has been around for millions of years. The Orion collective is perhaps one of the largest collective consciousnesses that are participating on the earth plane right now. There are many different collectives that are existing within that collective. And so there is a gamut of ways of experiencing the Orion collective. They are methodical, they are ancient feeling, like they've been around for a long time. They've got this nailed down kind of a feeling if you're in human form as an Orion. Um, like this isn't your first rodeo, and you've got the books and how to do all this. You got the playbooks. Um, the Orion energy consciousness is get out of my way. I'm here, and and this. It's like it's you're just tunnel visioned, even if you don't know what that is. It's almost like people would think that you did know what it was you were doing, even though you don't know what it is you're doing, but you do know what it is you're doing. um, they're very like they're very it has a very the energy is very similar to the Syrians, um, but the Syrians have more of a personality kind of characteristic to them. The Orions, it's just like we come in and we have a plan, a routine, a way of doing it. We set it up a specific way as a human being. We've outlined it and off we go. And so if you are an Orion from the Orion system, you're going to have this sort of methodical way of doing things. you're going to understand your purpose in a very methodical way. It's like, okay, I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and this is going to come together, and I've designed it this specific way. And it's like, then ding, ding. And there's a natural sort of knowingness of what you're here to do, even if you have freaking no idea what you're doing. There's this really awesome knowingness around it, that nobody can take from you. Almost humorous in a way, because, and you've designed your life, if you're from the Orion system, your life probably looks very like it's been designed to guide you to be exactly where you are, as if it's like everything was laid out exactly the way it was supposed to be laid out, so that you could get exactly where you are, and off you go to the next block and the next block and the next block. And this can be said for many of us, but it's almost like you can look back at the Orion individual's life, and it's almost laughable how perfect it was, in terms of, not great in terms of experience. They might have had trauma and pains and things like that, but the way in which they designed every turn, every pivot, every shift was just magical and amazing. And they're no nonsense. It's just, we're getting in, we're going to do this again. And off we go. That kind of a feeling. When did I know my purpose work? When I was 12 years old. When I was 12, maybe 11. 11 or 12, I knew that I was here to assist with the ascension process. And this was in 1987. And so in 1987, we thought the ascension process was literally, Starcraft ships were going to drop down. This is no joke. I swear to you guys, if you're old enough to remember these things, you'll remember this. We thought that the ascension process was that the earth was going to completely die, be destroyed, and humans were going to have to need help getting off the planet. And so ships from different systems of light, Palladians, Arcturians, all of them, were going to come in and assist us in leaving the planet and leaving the earth plane. And so that's kind of why I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to be helping humans, like, literally get onto the ships and leave. But now we know that's not the case. But I've always known that I was here to do something with the ascension process. I didn't know until 3 years ago what it was. And I really didn't know until each now moment kind of how it unraveled. But it wasn't until I was 41 that I actually started to do my purpose work. It was only 3 years ago that I started to do my purpose work. So from the age of 12 until 41, 40 years, 39 years, I knew I was here to do something, but I just didn't know what it was. And I would just kind of move back and forth between that awareness of, but it was a different time than it is now. If I was awakening in this now moment, it would be, I couldn't go back to sleep, but I went back to sleep a lot, and really played in that density for a while. So that's that. Ever since I mentioned Arcturians, I keep seeing lights every now and then. Hi, Blue Avion. Welcome. How do you stay calm when beings appear so you don't lose focus? So I call it a soft focus. So when you feel energies around you, beings around you, there's two things I do. One, I try not to focus on it too much, right? Because as you know, and as you've experienced it, you will, I know everybody, there's so many people that want to know what their purpose is. I didn't know what it was. I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't know what it was, what I was going to do. But anyway, that's off subject. What was I talking about? Shoot. Dang it. What was I doing? What was I talking about, you guys? Oh, when you're meditating and there's beings around you, or when you're doing anything and there's beings around you and you get distracted. So you don't want to focus on it, right? Because if you focus on it, then the ego gets involved, and the ego's like, what is it? Like, is it still going to be there? What if it's gone? Whatever, right? So you want to remain kind of neutral with it all, but then you want to engage in it. So this is how you really start to learn to channel. When you start feeling these beings, you start engaging with them, but you would start engaging with them in a very neutral place. So this is what I did. This is how I learned to really channel. I would feel, like you were saying, these beings around me, and my eyes were closed, but I would ask the beings to move into different directions in my room. So I would keep my eyes closed, and I would say, okay, can you move in front of me right now? And then, believe it or not, the energy would move in front of me, and I would say, okay, can you slow your vibration down a little bit? Or are you a star being? Are you tall? Are you what's I would start engaging with it and trying to tap into it more. um Speak to it. Does it have a name? Does it have a tone? What is it, right? So it's a beautiful when you start to recognize that there's other energies around you, but then you have to take it another step forward further, which is starting to engage with it, but not with your ego. So you don't want to kind of, it's really a fine line between super focusing on, like, oh my god, there's a light in here, what's this light, and what's it going to do, and what's it mean, what does it mean for me, what am I supposed to do with it, and am I supposed to channel it, and do I need to write something down about it? You don't want to go there. You want to go to, oh, I feel an energy. Can you move yourself in front of me? Don't think. Don't have the ego involved. Try not to have the ego involved. Do your best to not think. And it's like, okay, can I move that being in front of me? Okay, and what are you? Like, you have to learn how to, 'cause it's coming in to communicate with you, but you've got to communicate with it without the ego. That's the challenge. Can you communicate with it without the ego? And that's how you start to channel, really. Is you start, first of all, first step is that you can feel the energies around you. They're always around you, but if you can feel them, it's like hallelujah. You have something to work with. There's something you can feel. Now you have something to work with. Does anyone know what the billows of smoky vapor is in the sky? I don't know what that is. Not sure. There's definitely some really interesting energies and consciousnesses, vibrations that we're starting to tap into, in the sky, on the walls, in the air. We're definitely moving into that fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional field. And when we go there, we have access to more energy visually. I was shown myself as a blue being where I turned into a blue sphere. That's cool. That's really cool. Tell us a difference between I am presence and higher self. Sure. Um, the I am presence and the higher self are two aspects of you. The higher self is designed and created as a higher vibrational frequency than the physical form that you're in. Um, and it is designed to connect you and navigate you in higher states of consciousness. It's designed to connect you to other energies, consciousnesses, and beings that are supporting you and surrounding you, as well as connected to your I am presence. It is designed to direct you and kind of guide you back to the being of light that you are in your physical form. It's sort of the conductor that is saying, hey, I know why you're in your body. I know how this all works. I have the keys. I have the knowledge. I have the book. I have the playbook. And I'm going to guide you through it all to remind you. The higher self was really, really an important part of the design of the human form, because it was absolutely necessary to have a higher self when the being dropped into a 5D form, because the 5D form is so dense. You have to realize how dense the 5D form was. And so when the light being dropped into the 5D form, it was encased in density. And so there was an absolute clear channel to the higher self, which is always aligned with you and connected to you. But its purpose and reason for being is to guide you, connect you, align you, remind you, right? So in the third dimension, it's got the same purpose, but it's really challenging to tap into that higher self. Once you start shifting into higher states of consciousness, you start tapping into that higher self. And when you start doing that, you recognize and remember and realize, oh crap, this is the aspect of me that was designed to lead me forward, that knows what I'm doing here, that knows how to guide me, and that is the bridge between all of these galactic beings, all of the collectives around me, all of my guides. Now, the higher self is an aspect of your beingness, the light being. It's an aspect of your light being that dropped in, vibrating at a higher frequency than your higher self, that is connected to source. It's connected, it connects you to source consciousness, source energy, unity consciousness, all that ever is, was, and will be. It's designed to keep you connected to the aspect that we all are, which is source. And so when you can, it's at a higher vibration than the higher self. You can access it through the higher self. It's much more difficult to access than the higher self. As you start shifting your vibration higher and higher, you will begin to access the I am presence, just like you started accessing the higher self. So if you're new to the awakening process, most likely 10 years ago, you didn't even know what the higher self was and you couldn't even access it. As you started shifting higher and higher in frequency, you began to recognize there's something called a higher self, and this is what it sounds like, feels like, looks like, and this is its role. And as you begin to continue to increase your frequency, you will begin to tap into the I am presence, which is when you really start to get a clear picture of what's really going on here. And you start to feel unity consciousness. When you are in a fifth dimensional, when you are anchored into the fifth dimension, you are aligned and connected to the I am presence. That's unity consciousness, is connecting and aligning to the I am presence at all times, anchoring it in. Okay. I got the boot to say goodbye. Empowering angel. Sure, reach out to me. Send me an email. Spirits are in a fourth dimension. So beings that have just passed are spirits are in a fourth dimension still. Okay, you guys, I'm going 2 hours. I had so much fun. This was a great, we didn't have that many crazies pop on. You guys are rock stars, don't forget. I appreciate every single one of you for being here. Thank you so much for showing up with me live. It's been so great. And I just look forward to growing with you and expanding with you and sharing with you and all of this. It's just going to be fabulous. I love it. So I'll see you January. June. Hold on a second. The next live is June 4th. June 4th at 4 p.m. So I'll see you guys there. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all so much. This will be stored on my channel, so you can go back and listen to it if you missed any parts of it. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday, June 4th, or the following Tuesday, whenever that is. Thank you all for being here. You're rock stars. Don't forget it. And I love you all so much. So much. Mwah. Bye-bye.